Okay, so I'm doing number 18 after 19, so yeah, this is recorded second, while the other one coming up tomorrow will be recorded first. I don't know. But anyway, I have to pee, so I have to hurry this up. Hello there, everybody, this is CwapTheNintendin here, and welcome to another edition of Platinum Impressions. I talk games, and that's about it. But I'm here to talk about a particularly interesting game. I'm here to talk about EarthBound for the Super Nintendo. And technically Wii U Virtual Console, but still only exclusive on Super Nintendo. But anyway, yes, I finally got around to beating this game, and I said finally, because I rather had an interesting history with this game, but yeah, before we get into that, so yeah, you hear that EarthBound was released, is currently on the Wii U Virtual Console eShop, right? Well, did all of 1% of you know that this game wasn't originally on the previous system's eShop? Why? You didn't? Okay, I'll teach you. Okay, so EarthBound was this sort of cult underground hit of an RPG that came out on the Super Nintendo in 1995. But apparently it didn't sell well because the marketing kinda sucked. The slogan was, "This game stinks." That didn't go over well for parents. So, yeah, this game didn't really sell well, which didn't cause like any of the other EarthBound/Mother games to come out. But this game did have a chance of coming out on the Wii's Virtual Console because, you know, the Wii's Virtual Console was all like Super Nintendo games, NES games, N64, and everyone's eyes were all on EarthBound for coming out for the Super Nintendo section. But apparently it didn't due to legal issues. I'll get to that in a bit. So yeah, there was basically kind of sort of no hope for EarthBound coming out on the Virtual Console on the Wii. But in 2013, it was announced that EarthBound was finally approved to get re-released. So yeah, it's now out for buying if you want it. But here's my little history with this game, like two particular things in particular. One, I was actually playing this game, and when I was actually in Winters for the first time, and I was getting to, you know, the location of, you know, Dr. Andronauts and a Skyrunner to go to Threed, and I was riding on Tessie, I got a particularly interesting email. It said that I've made YouTube partner. Yeah, it was actually when I was playing EarthBound that I got the email saying that, hey, we removed all of one copyright strike that I got for stupidly uploading a South Park clip. And yeah, I was like really excited for it. So I immediately dropped everything to approve my partnership with YouTube and all that stuff. So yeah, I guess it's thanks to EarthBound I'm kind of a YouTube partner. I don't know. But the other thing is that I played through the beginning like so many times, and like EarthBound is just kind of like one of those games where I played the beginning so often that, you know, I kind of know how to do things. But here's the thing, I didn't really necessarily play past Foresight and all that stuff. So, you know, I promised to get back to it one day and all that stuff, and that one day was like a month ago. Yeah, it was like a month ago when I finally got around to, you know, picking up this game again after like buying it off of the eShop, like at the beginning of the year. So yeah, I can basically scratch that one off of my bucket list of games. That the backlog is now incredibly huge. But yeah, you really don't want to play EarthBound just to hear me play about it. You want to hear it for the story, which the story of EarthBound is that one day in this land called Eagle Land, which is basically America, in the year 1990X because Mega Man does it so well, a meteor crashes into the ground near Ness's house, of course, because Ness came from this game. He didn't originate in Smash Brothers 64 for all you nerds. So he goes to check out the meteorite, and inside the meteorite he finds this bee from the future named Buzz, and Buzz basically tells Ness of an evil demonic being called Gygas who wishes to destroy the world and make it all darkness and stuff. And he has to gather 4 friends, Paula, Jeff, and Pooh, in order to defeat this evil. And stuff. All the while going to your sanctuary locations and gaining power from the Earth to, you know, defeat Gygas and all that stuff. So yeah, that's basically kind of like the main plot of it. But honestly, oh wait, hang on a second. My throat is scratchy, so I need to get my freaking water. Always keep a water on hand. But anyway, I don't really play EarthBound for the main plot. I play it for the witty dialogue and fourth wall breaking. Because seriously, I think EarthBound is extremely well written. Like, not since Xenoblade Chronicles have I had a game in which talking to NPCs can be really fun. Because, well, either they're generic NPCs with generic things to say, or most of the time they're incredibly witty NPCs and side characters. Yes. So yeah, I really love talking to all the NPCs in this game, and even if the NPCs are annoyed by my talking, come on, I want to talk to people. Like, seriously. I want to talk to people. That was a cough right there. I apologize for that. Because you keep water on, you know, recording sessions. But really, like, the game, even when it gets to, you know, plot, is extremely well written and kinda disturbing in a way. Like, seriously, you wouldn't think like a happy-go-lucky game like EarthBound, you know, hey, we're going off on an adventure, and then the one that theme starts playing, it's like, dun, 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 dun. You know, like that theme went there. You wouldn't think with a game with a nice, happy atmosphere like this could actually lead into some dark territory, like, seriously. You know, like, Pooh's training in Dalam was, like an unexpected 180. I'm not gonna spoil it, but let me just say, when you get introduced to Pooh and his training, it's a complete 180. Just saying. 180 in tone. And when you get to Moonside for the first time, you feel like you're going on an acid trip of sorts. Like, it didn't really necessarily help that I was playing the game at night when I finally got to Moonside, and I was all like, what the heck is this now? Why is everything all rainbows? just like, what? These kids go through some really fucked up shit. Like, seriously, in order to get to their final destination, which is beating Gygas, they have to go through some really fucked up shit. like really, like, seriously. And, I'm trying to think what else. Like, the final battles the dialogue in the final battle is absolutely amazing. Like, even though I've seen the final battle a couple of times before actually playing it, it still really hit me that it was extremely well written and extremely creepy and extremely disturbing, because Gygas's little background and stuff, his dialogue is all written by Shigesato Itoi and his experiences in the movie theater. Like, you all know this, but his dialogue is actually extremely creepy. It still hits you. Even if you've seen the final battle, like, very, very often, it's just, oh, it's still creepy. Yeah. But I guess this is sort of a little nitpick in, like, the writing and, like, you know, the way the story is, like, I know, it's like, you know about Ness throughout the whole game, because you go to your sanctuary locations, and at the locations, you see, Ness sees, like, a glimpse of himself in the past, right? And you get little hints of, like, Jeff's past, because, you know, he doesn't really acknowledge Dr. Andonauts as his dad. And, you know, Jeff doesn't really see him that often, and you gotta feel for the dude. And what about Paula and Pooh? Like technically they're good characters, but you don't really see them interacting with any other, you know, person. Like Paula maybe, Pooh maybe, but I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I kind of wish that, you know, the main cast would interact more with each other. Like, I get that Ness is supposed to be like mute and all that stuff, but I don't know, maybe, I don't know, it's a little thing that bothers me and only me, but, yeah, whatever, it's a game, it's a game. It's a game, they don't all have to be, like, perfect in every single way, I guess. But, aside from that, I still think the game is extremely well written, and you gotta thank the writers for creating such a little bit of a witty little game, if I do say so myself. But, when you get really all down to it, the gameplay is actually relatively simple. You know, you play those really, really old school RPGs, right? You play those really old school RPGs. I just swallowed a bunch of water. You play those really old school RPGs, like you go through the overworld, you talk to people, you actually have a command window, kind of like Dragon Quest 1, in which, you know, you push the A button to open up the command menu, and you either talk, look at your goods, look at your PSI powers, or back out of it. Really odd, but hey, that's the way the game's designed, so you guess you might as well just roll with it. And it is kind of weird that, you know, you have a command that says talk to people, and yet you have to press check to read signs and stuff. I guess it kind of makes sense in that regard, but I don't know, maybe you should have just pressed the A button to do all that stuff. I don't know. But for what the game is doing, it does work, I suppose. And the battle system is actually pretty damn simple too. Like, you go into this like little battle window, again like old school RPGs, in which you have the enemy facing you, the player, and not necessarily like a full-on 3D camera view in which, you know, kind of like Final Fantasy, in which your character's on one side of the screen and your enemies are on the other side of the screen. You have your regular attacks, you have your PSI abilities, which is your special attacks. You have your defend, you have your items and all that stuff. You pick your command and you just roll with it. You have critical hits and all that stuff. And my whole explanation of this is kind of like, you know, what Pokemon does. Because they're the same damn developer. Don't believe Ape Inc. That's Game Freak. That's Game Freak disguised. Even though I'm pretty sure they weren't called Game Freak yet, but I bet they were. I bet they were. But, yeah, the relatively gameplay stuff is actually pretty damn simple, but I will concede, maybe it's just me, but no matter how many times I play the beginning of the game, you know, where you have to deal with all the sharks before you go into the giant step, is, well, no matter what I do, I always find myself grinding up, like, seriously. I think you pretty much just have to grind at the beginning of the game in order to take down Frank. Even after, like, actually, no. You grind up for, you know, money and experience, because, you know, you get dollars every time you defeat an enemy, which somehow your dad as a phone transfers it over to your bank. Your dad is a phone, by the way. And, yeah, then you have to go to the ATM, get your ATM card out, do that and all that stuff. And even then, I still find myself relatively grinding at the beginning of the game and stuff. So, yeah, I guess the game is a little bit, well, at least in my experience, a little bit grind happy. For me, at least. I don't know about you. I don't know about all of you EarthBound experts out there. I'm looking at you, Stephen. I may have used your guide. I may have used your LP as a guide, Stephen George, but but I still find myself relatively grinding. I don't know. Maybe it's my experience. But I guess another place that's grind happy, and I can definitely understand why, is that one place like below Stonehenge. Yes, Stonehenge actually exists. In which, you know, you have all these Starmen appear as enemies. Which, if you don't know Starman, you don't know Smash Brothers. Is, well, the Starman drop like a really remote item called the Sword of Kings. Which I think Pooh uses, if I recall. And apparently they are extremely rare. And I, like, gave up after, like, a half an hour to, like, an hour of trying. Because, well, I didn't really want to be OP. It was, like, near the end of the game. Like, near the 7th Year Sanctuary location. Lumine Hall, I think it is. And, yeah. I didn't want to be, like, relatively OP. Like, Ness was, like, level 75 by the time I was done with you know, that one dungeon and was on my way to the 7th sanctuary location. And yeah, I didn't want to be like too OP. I didn't want the game to be like too easy or too hard. Yet the game still relatively kicked my ass. I blamed the Diamond Dog for that, the 8th Your Sanctuary boss. Really, I blame him. I blame the Diamond Dog for that. But yeah, even if you grind, I guess the game is still relatively hard if you don't know what you're doing. Like, I remember like getting quite the few amount of game overs throughout my experience. Obviously, my examples were the Carbon/Diamond Dog, the first battle with the Kraken. I don't really remember any other Sanctuary boss that I died at. You know, aside from the Shroom boss. Or possibly the Titanic Ant. But aside from that, though, I don't really remember, like, any other boss fights that, you know, gave me, like, a whole lot of trouble. I remember, like, the final battle, with as awesome as it is. Like, it almost, like, the final battle with Gygas almost killed me, but then I remembered, hey, Paula can pray, so, yeah. Thank God Paula didn't die. Yeah. And you wouldn't think that a game after the... Nah. I'm not gonna spoil that, but whatever. So, I guess I can't really blame, like, the graphics of this game. They look decent. They look decent. Like, usually when it comes to, like, the EarthBound games, they look relatively decent. But really, what does that matter when you have such simple yet fun gameplay and an extremely witty dialogue? So, yeah. For Super Nintendo, it looks aight. But definitely the strangest part of EarthBound for me was definitely the soundtrack. And it had some relatively weird themes. Like I think the EarthBound series is like the only known game series that I know of that has like such weird, trippy music. Like Kraken of the Sea is just really jamming. Sanctuary Guardian is by far probably the most chill boss theme I've ever heard in my life. Like Battle Against the Machine was incredibly trip. At least I think how it started out. It was like pew 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 pew, pew whoop. Yeah, like the battle music is extraordinarily weird, but yet it had a charm to it, I suppose. It did have a charm to it, I guess. From, you know, my favorite themes, I would have to go with, like, the Sanctuary Guardian boss, Sanctuary Guardian, Because I Love You, Smile and Tears, definitely. Pokey Means Misses is by far my favorite theme because, well, I don't really have to explain why. Just go listen to it. Especially the Smile and Tears Smash Brothers remix. I love that one. It's not related, but it is related. So, yeah. I found myself really liking EarthBound. I feel that it's a gem. It's a well-known gem of the Super Nintendo days. Like, even though it didn't really sell well, I can definitely see why people really, really are passionate about this game. It's charming, it's witty, it's simple, yet it's fun. It is disturbing. It can make you cry sometimes. It is just a whole batch of fun. And I had to pause right there for a second because of my stupid cough. Like, I definitely get the strange, funny, and heartrending vibe from Mother 3. Even though I didn't really necessarily get that whole same vibe from EarthBound, I still really found it strange, funny, and heartrending like the series motto does. I say heartrending because even though it didn't really have any moments that, you know, are like really sad, it did have a lot of heartwarming moments, just really. Despite how, you know, simple these characters are, you really feel the simplicity of that heartwarming. It's just, oh. Particularly in S and Paula's relationship. And such little lines as I don't know what lines like made me go aw, because there were just maybe a few that really made me go aw. But yeah, I can definitely see why people are like really passionate about, you know, this game. Like, this game was just that basically underground hit that became, like, extremely popular. And EarthBound in the West is just incredibly popular because of such a great game like this. I can definitely recommend it to any fan of, you know, JRPGs. And yeah, if it's technically your first one, it can be a little bit vague on what you're supposed to do, which is why I use, like, Stephen George's Let's Play of it to basically get me through the game and stuff. I only used it as, like, a bare bones guide on where you're supposed to go. Yeah. So yeah, it can be vague on where to go sometimes, and some of the main characters aren't really that interesting, even though they can be kind of too simple. And I guess from my experience, the game is a little bit of a grind happy. I still really found myself having a really fun time with, you know, playing EarthBound. And I would definitely play it again if I had the chance to. I'd even live stream it if I could. And I probably will. From the Wii U itself. Because I don't need no emulator shit anymore. Now I can get it on the Wii U. Very surreal. I'm probably making an ass of myself describing EarthBound like this, but whatever. It's a good game. It's a good game. You should definitely check it out if you're feeling the need to see Ness's origins. Yeah, just get it. It's a really good game. I highly recommend it to any fan of, you know, just RPGs in general. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. So you'll see the next Platinum Impressions tomorrow. So, yeah, I will indeed see you guys on the next edition of Platinum Impressions. See ya later. Good lord, I made an ass of myself.